locked in. Tell me that you locked in.
Yeah.
I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
Yeah. Cap.
You're already committed, so you're already locked in, you know what I'm saying?
And we're back with the morning lock-in. I told y'all each and every episode I'll have a special guest in the last block of the morning lock-in. Again, you know, if it wasn't for the coronavirus, we would be celebrating Olympic athletes right about now. This past Friday would have been the start of the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. So I reached out to a good brother of mine, Hollis Conway, two-time Olympic medalist, and he's going to talk about his journey through being an Olympic winner, his time across seas, and just give a little bit of insight of how it is to be an Olympic winner.
This is Hollis Conway, his second attempt, going after 7'9"3/4.
They call him the Spud Webb of high jumping. You know, most high jumpers are 6'5", 6'6". He's only 6 feet 1/4 of an inch. This is 21.5 inches.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Got you now.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good. A little tired, but that's normal.
That's expected.
Yes.
So right now, we will be celebrating the Olympics. But due to coronavirus, it's been postponed to next year. In your opinion, do you think that was the best thing to do, is postpone it and not outright cancel it?
Yeah, you know, I've thought about this. You know, I think there's so many people that dream of being an Olympian, and but not so a large part of it is for the competition, you know, whatever sport they're in. But the Olympics is so much bigger than that. The Olympic ideal that it brings the world together. It's about humanity. It's about caring for one another. It goes far beyond the time that you actually compete. You know, there's a saying or a motto that says, once an Olympian, always Olympian, never former, never pass. So you don't say past Olympian. You know, it's a big ideal, and the idea that we care about the world, we care about each other, kind of fits in where we are now, where whether you believe people should be shut down or opening up, the idea that we care enough about each other not to put each other in harm's way probably was a large determining factor in saying, hey, let's just push this back, because we don't want to put people in positions to where they're going to be sick themselves or they're going to spread it to other people. And so I just think that the big ideal of caring for each other, brotherly love across the world, with a determining factor saying, hey, just to be on the conservative side, let's push this back to make sure everybody is safe.
Now, you said before that you felt like an American for the first time walking into the games in 1988. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more for me?
Oh, yeah. When I grew up all black neighborhood, went to a predominantly black school, and we didn't have much, so I never saw any of the world. I didn't really know what was out there. I was pretty limited to my own experience. And when I made the Olympic team and I traveled across the world to Seoul, Korea, and we had the opening ceremonies, and I'm standing there and I'm in my red, white, and blue uniform with all of the American Olympians. And you had every country in the world represented. It was simply amazing. You would see them in their distinctive colors and their characteristics and their language and culture. It's really amazing. But when we walked into that stadium, the world went crazy, and I could hear people just chanting USA, and people were calling my name, and that was just the first time I realized that it didn't matter what color I was, didn't matter what part of the country I lived in, didn't matter what political affiliation I was. we had joined together to represent our country as Americans, and there was a lot of pride in that. You know, sports kind of does that. It brings people together. We're living in, of course, very different times now with lots of issues going on. But I can just honestly say none of those things came to the forefront when we walked in that stadium representing America as Olympians.
So can you kind of give me the feel that you had being young as you are, representing a whole nation, and also being African American, representing a whole nation in Korea in 1988?
Well, I can say for that first Olympics, I was young and dumb. You know, my whole goal in life was to win a gold medal, and so. Well, actually, I didn't even know what the Olympics meant. I kind of came out of nowhere, and I made the team, and just my youthful innocence and ignorance. I was fascinated by the different cultures, different people, and seeing all those things. And I went, you know, to other sports, and I really enjoyed the Olympic experience. And I just went out there and I had fun, and I just ended up second. But in 1992, when I made Barcelona, I was much more wiser and dumber at the same time. And I understood what it meant to be an Olympian, that people live their whole lives chasing that and may not ever attain it. You know, it came to me kind of easy. It fell in my lap. And I recognized the importance of what it meant in stature and how I represented people. And all of that pressure kind of made me approach it differently, much more as a business. You know, how did I carry myself? What did I say? You know, I got married. My wife was pregnant. But I think carrying the weight of all those things, this is hindsight. I don't think I had the same drive and focus to win the gold medal as I did in 1988 because I was thinking about so many other things. And that's not an excuse. That's what I did. Other people, a lot more experienced than me, were able to master those and use those things to their advantage. And I still finished third on the tiebreaker. I mean, not like I did real bad, but I do think thinking about all those other things just was a little bit more to think about than just focusing on the competition.
Now, a little prequel to you getting to the becoming an Olympic champion. You're from Chicago, but grew up in Shreveport and went to college in Lafayette. How does that even happen?
Well, I'm the baby of 7, and of course I grew up in some conditions that were not conducive to success. You know, my mom and dad. My dad was an alcoholic, and I had brothers and sisters that struggled with drugs and alcohol. But my dad left my mom and went to Detroit, and then they made up, and we all moved to Detroit. And then he left again and moved to Shreveport, and they made up, and we moved to Shreveport. And so it was kind of a deal where chasing dysfunction allowed us to be in different places. We ended up in Shreveport, still very dysfunctional and dealing with a lot of issues. And somewhere around my freshman year of high school, I started running track. I wasn't very good. But my sophomore year, I became best one in the city. And by the time I was a senior, I was one of the best jumpers in the country, and I was recruited by colleges all over the United States. And the coach that left the University of Arkansas and their rich track tradition came to southwestern Louisiana and recruited me and talked me into going to Southwestern over Texas A&M, which is where I wanted to go.
And I hear Texas track and the Texas relays are big time. Is there any overwhelming factor that made you switch other than the coaching, or is this something that he said, or is a way that he carried himself that made you want to flip from Texas A&M to University of Southwestern Louisiana? formerly?
Oh yeah, he worked me. He is very good at what he does. You learn this much later, but when a coach is recruiting you, the really good coaches. They know exactly what to say to get you to do what they want you to do. He worked me over real well, and I remember this. About 5 years later, we were hanging out because he was like a father figure to me, and he was recruiting another kid. And I realized he's telling that kid the same thing he told me. I said, Coach, you got to be kidding me. And he just laughed. I mean, he got in good with my parents. I mean, he was really good. But I tell you what, I wouldn't trade it for the world because my career would not have been what it was without him. He knew exactly what to do. He was a very good coach, mentally, spiritually, physically. I made the right decision.
Now, during that time, we know with social media and camera phones and everything that they have now, was it a lot of national media and attention that was brought to Lafayette while you was just becoming a 6-time NCAA All-American and a 3-time NCAA champion?
In my mind, I would like to think so, but in reality, I'm still a track athlete, and track and field in America normally doesn't get a lot of attention except if there's an Olympics or World Championships. America is dominated by football, basketball, baseball, tennis, golf, NASCAR, those things. You don't normally see a lot of track attention, and there's very few very well-known track stars in America. I think it's getting better, but track is the number 2 sport in the world, though. So when you travel outside of the United States, it's soccer and then it's track and field. And so many of us had very big European seasons along with the American collegiate season is big, but a lot of us spent a lot of time, traveling the world because track is the number 2 sport in the world. I mean, their stadium sold out 3 years in advance for track meets. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in an area where we had beepers, so that tell you how old I am.
Now, with traveling all over the world, of all the countries you have been to, I see you've been to Barcelona, Spain, you've been to St. Petersburg, Russia, you've ran in Athens, Greece. Of all the countries you have participated in, which one would you say is your favorite or most memorable, other than obviously winning the silver medal?
I love Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden. For some reason, I don't know why, but it was just beautiful up there at that time of year. I think we were there at a time where it would be light 24 hours a day. But it's just beautiful areas. Zurich, Switzerland. I enjoyed those times. I struggled a little bit with Spain and Italy because it was just so hot traveling. It was such long travel to get away from everything else. But, I love the Scandinavian area.
Now, also, I'm not too versed in track and field, but I see that you jumped off your left foot, and that's kind of a taboo. Why is it taboo, and why do you feel as though that was your strong leg?
It's weird to a lot of people that's not familiar with track and field, but your body, you got a strong side, a right side. It's kind of like most right-handed people jump off their left leg. That's the norm. Most left-handed people jump off their right leg. It's not 100% across the board, but it's just kind of what happened. But generally with jumpers, what you do is you go out there and you let them play around and jump, and you see what leg they jump off of, and you can tell. But in the high jump, what has to happen, though, if you jump off your left leg, you have to come from the right side and vice versa on the other side, because you need that leg to make all the physics and the geometry to work. But there are right-handed people that jump off their right leg, a few, and there are vice versa. But if your left leg, you got to be from the right leg, you got to be from the left, because physically it won't work.
I think I could probably jump off of 3 legs and probably still wouldn't jump as high as you.
But it'd be illegal anyway. You got to go off 1 foot.
Now,
a lot of young jumpers, they go up there, they do the double leg jump, and say, "Man, I can jump high." I say, yeah, but that's illegal.
now, also it said that you were undersized, and a quote that I got from yourself said that all you were was 2 kneecaps and an afro.
Yeah, I was really skinny coming up. When I got to USA back in 1985, I was right at 6 feet, 130 pounds maybe.
Ooh, that's slim.
I competed. My max weight was 142 pounds. I'm 6 feet a quarter of an inch. The average high jumper is 6'5" and a half. If you go back and look at any of the Olympic pictures when I was there was a majority of them that were 6'7", 6'8". And so I was undersized. I'm in height for the average high jumper.
But obviously that played into them legs that you got. Now,
yeah, proportionately though, I was built. I do this one. I do a lot of ministry talks, and proportionally, I was built exactly like every world-class high jumper, from leg length, tendon length, fast twitch fibers. Just my body was built just like a high jumper proportionally, which means that when I was born, I had everything I needed inside of me to accomplish what God put me here to do. And so I tell people that, I said, everybody that was born, you have inside of you what you need to be successful. You just need to figure out what that is and do that.
And to piggyback off that, you went through some adversity by blowing out your knee and then tearing your Achilles, and then, like you said, finding your voice or your vision that God had for you afterwards. What are some things that you could tell some people right now who are maybe going through that same adversity? It might be that they're missing their senior season due to the virus, or they lost their job, or what are some words that you could give them to overcome that adversity?
On the secular side, people always say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, But spiritually, we believe that everything is done for a purpose. It's part of our story. It's part of our experience. And we have to find hope and purpose in it. Being an athlete is not who I am. It's what I did. Life is much bigger than what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you that really matters. And so, as I tell people, everybody should write a book, because it doesn't matter what it is. There's other people who are going through it, and if you can help them through it, then you find meaning in life. And so I believe that everything that happened in my life was not for me to walk around and say how successful and how good I was. It was to be able to reach back and help other people who are struggling. And so this pandemic, these times that we're living in, the difficulties, the things that we face are incredible opportunities for us to reach out and make this world a better place. And so I can look at the crazy times and things and not get discouraged, but be encouraged that we have an opportunity to be a part of the solution and to really create a better outcome. And so if you can't see that during these times, then we just need to look again. Because the world's going to be better because of this, because people are going to be aware of a lot of hidden issues, but it's only going to be better if we reach out and be a part of the solution. And so, just like I looked at the difficulty it was going to take to get to the Olympics and looked at it as an opportunity, I did what it took to get there. We have to have that same approach with what's going on and now. And so don't be discouraged. Don't be frustrated and depressed, but be encouraged about the opportunity that we get the chance to be on the ground floor of something. Well, not the ground floor. This was started a long time ago, but we get a chance to be a part of something that's going to make this world a much better place for generations to come.
And for everybody out there who's interested in getting a copy of your book, can you give them the name and where they can purchase your book at?
Yes, I can. You can. I did that long before it became popular. Yes, I can. But you can go to www.hollisconway.com and you can just download it. You can use PayPal, buy it, and download it. I stopped doing printed copies a long time ago, getting with technology so people can put it on their phone, on their iPads, on their Google devices, and it's a good read. I took all the best quotes from everybody else in the world and added some of mine because of my story. But it'll encourage you.
And thank you for your time. Again, Hollis Conway, Olympic medalist, 2-time winner, all-around great man. I just want to thank you again for taking this time out to come talk to me.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.